A poor waitress whispered to the billionaire, "Don't sign this." What he did next surprised everyone. Hey, where are you tuning in from? I'd love to hear. If you enjoyed the story, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Your support means the world to me, it really keeps me going. Can't wait to see your thoughts in the comments. Sofia Ramirez, a struggling waitress in a small Chicago diner, faced the impossible every day. Taking care of her sick mother while keeping the diner afloat. But when she overhears a wealthy businessman, Adrian Vance, planning to destroy everything she holds dear for profit, she risks everything with a single line, "Don't sign this." Stay tuned to see how Sofia's fight for her community becomes the fight for the soul of America itself. Sofia Garcia's life was a tightrope stretched thin over an abyss. At 28, she lived for two things: keeping her mother, Camila, alive through her breast cancer battle, and holding on to the Maple Street Diner, the only place that felt like home. The diner, with its cracked vinyl booths and coffee-stained counter, wasn't just a job, it was her lifeline. Its meager tips paid for Camila's chemo, the rent on their one-bedroom apartment, and the groceries that stretched thinner every month. Dreams were a luxury Sofia couldn't afford. Survival was her only currency. Camila had once been the soul of their family, her laughter filling their tiny kitchen as she taught Sofia to roll tamales, her voice carrying Mexican ballads late into the night. Now, 2 years into her diagnosis, she was a ghost of herself, frail, her dark eyes sunken, her breath a labored wheeze, tethered to an oxygen tank. Sofia spent her nights at Camila's bedside, reading aloud from worn paperbacks, her voice a tether against the hospital's cold sterility. The medical bills were a relentless tide, each one threatening to drown them. Sofia's world had shrunk to a cycle of shifts and hospital visits, her hope a flickering ember she guarded fiercely. The diner was her refuge, a slice of Chicago's South Side where time seemed to pause. Its regulars were family: Old Man Jenkins, a retired mechanic who tipped in quarters in Tales of Vietnam; Sarah Delgado, a single mom whose twins, Mia and Mateo, drew crayon masterpieces on placemats during Sunday breakfasts; and Mr. Costas, the diner's gruff owner, who'd slip Sofia an extra $20 when he saw the worry in her eyes. Maple Street wasn't just a block, it was a community woven from shared struggles, late-night conversations, and the clink of coffee mugs. The diner was its heart, pumping life into a neighborhood that refused to break. But that heart was under threat, and Sofia was about to learn how fragile it truly was. Sofia was a study in quiet resilience. Her dark hair, always in a messy braid, framed a face that hid exhaustion behind a practiced smile. She noticed the little things: how Sarah's hands trembled when she counted her tips, how Jenkins folded his napkins into precise squares, a relic of his Navy days. Sofia's strength wasn't in grand gestures, but in endurance, the way she worked double shifts without complaint, the way she memorized Camila's medication schedule, the way she kept the diner's chaos in check with a glance. She was sharp. 2 years of balancing bills had honed her math skills, and her knack for reading people made her the diner's unspoken mediator. But Sofia didn't see her own worth. She was too busy surviving. Mr. Costas, 58, was the diner's weathered captain. His salt and pepper beard and slight limp, courtesy of a car accident in his 30s, gave him a rugged air, but his heart was soft. He and his late wife, Clara, had bought the diner 2 decades ago, pouring their dreams into its walls. Clara's death 5 years earlier had left Mr. Costas quieter, but he channeled his grief into keeping the diner alive. He treated his staff like kin, covering shifts when Sofia needed to rush to the hospital, giving Sarah's kids free fries when money was tight. The diner was bleeding cash, though, and Mr. Costas's worry showed in the way he pored over the books late at night, his brow furrowed. Adrian Vance was a different world entirely. At 42, he was a venture capitalist whose name carried weight from Wall Street to Silicon Valley. Tall, with sharp cheekbones and eyes like polished steel, he moved with the confidence of someone who'd never known defeat. His suits were custom, his watches collector's pieces, his reputation built on deals that turned small towns into luxury enclaves. Adrian wasn't cruel, but he was detached, seeing people as variables in a profit equation. He'd visited the diner a few times, always alone, ordering black coffee and leaving tips that felt like a statement. Sophia had served him, her hands steady despite the way his presence made the air crackle. To her, he was a mystery. To him, she was just another face, until she wasn't. Then there was Carmen Reyes, the diner's part-time cook and Sophia's closest friend. At 30, Carmen was a firecracker, quick-witted, with a laugh that filled the room and a temper that flared when pushed. She'd grown up in the neighborhood, her family's Puerto Rican roots tangled with Sophia's Mexican ones. Carmen's dreams of culinary school had been sidelined by life, 2 kids, a deadbeat ex, but she brought her passion to the diner's grill, turning greasy spoon staples into small miracles. She was Sophia's confidant, the one who dragged her to karaoke on rare nights off, the one who saw the weight Sophia carried and refused to let her carry it alone. It was a bitter Tuesday night in February 2025, the kind that drove even the hardiest regulars indoors. The diner was empty, the clock inching past 10 p.m. Sophia was alone, her sneakers squeaking on the linoleum as she wiped down tables. Her mind was on Camila's latest scan, new tumors, more aggressive, another round of chemo looming. The hospital's latest bill sat unopened on her kitchen counter, a $12,000 guillotine. She was so lost in thought she almost missed the voices from the back booth. Mr. Costas's low rumble, tight with strain, clashed with a smoother, more commanding tone. Sophia glanced over, her heart stuttering. Adrian Vance sat across from Mr. Costas, his suit pristine, a leather portfolio open between them. She'd served Adrian before, his sharp gaze and crisp $100 tips unnerving her. Now his presence felt like a storm cloud. She didn't mean to eavesdrop, but the words cut through the quiet. "The deal's locked," Adrian said, his voice cool. $15 million for the block. Luxury condos, high-end retail below. We'll break ground by fall. Mr. Costas's hands clenched, his voice low. "You're talking about gutting Maple Street, Adrian. The diner, Rose's bookstore, Jimmy's barber shop, these are people's livelihoods." "My people. They'll get payouts," Adrian replied, unfazed. "This is progress, George. Maple Street's dying. We're giving it a future." Sophia's rag froze. Her pulse hammering. Gut Maple Street? The diner was her mother's oxygen, her community's pulse. Without it, Sarah's twins would lose their Sunday mornings, Jenkins's stories, Carmen her kitchen. Mr. Costas would lose Clara's legacy. And Sophia? She'd lose the only thing keeping her from drowning. The thought was a fist to her chest, stealing her breath. She should have kept cleaning. She should have locked up, gone home, and buried her fear in another sleepless night. But something snapped, a spark of defiance, a refusal to let her world be erased. Her feet carried her to the booth before she could think, her hands trembling. Adrian looked up, his eyes narrowing. Mr. Costas's face paled, a silent warning. "Don't sign this," Sophia whispered, her voice raw but resolute. Adrian's eyebrow arched, a flicker of amusement crossing his face. "Excuse me?" Sophia's throat tightened, but she held his gaze. "This deal, it'll destroy us. The diner's not just a building. It's my family's survival. It's Sarah's kids eating pancakes on Sundays. It's Jenkins telling stories so he doesn't feel alone. You tear it down, you're tearing out our hearts. Please don't do this." The diner went still. The neon signs hummed, deafening in the silence. Mr. Costas stared, stunned. Adrian leaned back, his fingers tapping the portfolio, his gaze locked on Sophia. For a moment, she thought he'd laugh, dismiss her, crush her. Then he nodded once, stood, and walked out, his coat trailing like a shadow. Sophia didn't sleep that night, her mind a storm of regret and fear. Had she just tanked her job? Endangered Camila's care? She replayed her words, her shaky whisper against Adrian's steel gaze. By morning, she was a wreck, her hands shaking as she poured coffee for the breakfast rush. Mr. Costas caught her eye, his expression unreadable. "You got balls, kid," he said finally, clapping her shoulder. "Don't know if it'll change a damn thing, but I'm proud of you." The day crawled by, each order a distraction from the dread gnawing at her. Sarah noticed her distraction, nudging her at the counter. "You okay, chica? You look like you saw a ghost." Sophia forced a smile, dodging the question. Carmen, flipping burgers in the back, wasn't so easily fooled. "Spill it, Sophia," she said, brandishing a spatula. "You're wound tighter than my abuelita's empanadas." Sophia brushed her off, but Carmen's knowing look lingered. Around noon, a black SUV rolled up, its tinted windows gleaming. A man in a tailored suit, Adrian's assistant, Sophia later learned, stepped inside, handing her a sleek business card. "Mr. Vance requests your presence at his office," he said, his tone clipped. "Today, 3 p.m. Sophia's stomach dropped. Was Adrian retaliating? Pushing the deal anyway? She nodded, her mouth dry. And after her shift, she borrowed Carmen's only nice dress, a red wrap that felt like armor, and took the L downtown. Adrian's office was a fortress of glass and steel, its lobby a cathedral of wealth. Sophia felt like an intruder, her sneakers scuffing marble as she was led to a conference room on the 50th floor. Adrian stood by a window, Chicago sprawling below him, his suit a sharp contrast to her borrowed dress. "Sit," he said, his tone neutral. Sophia sat, her hands clasped to hide their tremor. "Why'd you speak up?" he asked, his eyes piercing. "You risked everything. Most people would have stayed quiet." Sophia swallowed, her voice steady despite her nerves. "I had to. The diner is my mother's lifeline. It's where Sarah's kids feel safe. Where Mr. Costas keeps his wife's memory alive. It's not just a place, it's us. If I didn't try, I couldn't live with myself." Adrian studied her, his expression unreadable. "You see people," he said finally. "I see numbers. Last night, you made me see the people." He paused, then leaned forward. "I'm offering you a job, Sophia. Program coordinator at my firm. You'd shape our community impact projects, have a real voice. And I'll fund a full scholarship to business school, Northwestern, DePaul, your choice." Sophia's breath caught. A job. A scholarship. It was a lifeline dangled over a cliff. But it meant leaving the diner, her mother, her roots. "I'm just a waitress," she said, her voice small. "I don't belong in your world." "You belong anywhere you choose," Adrian said sharply. "You've got more guts than half my board. Think about it." Sophia left the office in a daze, Adrian's card heavy in her pocket. She went home to Camila, who was awake, her smile fragile but warm. "What's wrong, Mija?" she asked, patting the bed. Sophia poured out everything, the deal, her outburst, Adrian's offer. Camila listened, her eyes fierce despite her frailty. "You've carried us so long, Sophia," she said. "This could be your chance to fly. Don't let fear clip you." Sophia's heart ached. Camila's belief was a gift, but the choice was a labyrinth. The diner was safe, its rhythms familiar. Adrian's world was a gamble, a leap into a life she'd never imagined. She spent days grappling, her doubt a constant shadow. At the diner, Carmen cornered her. "You're scared, Sophia, and I get it," she said, her voice fierce. "But you stood up to a billionaire. You can handle a boardroom. Do this for you, for your mom, for all of us." Sophia sought Mr. Costas's counsel, finding him in the diner's office, surrounded by bills. "You've been the soul of this place," he said, his voice thick. "But you're meant for bigger. Go. We'll hold the fort." Sarah, wiping down the counter, added, "Your family, Sophia. We'll be here, whatever you choose." The next morning, Adrian called Sophia back to his office. The conference room was packed, executives in sharp suits, their eyes skeptical. Adrian stood at the head, his voice cutting through the murmurs. "The Maple Street project is dead," he said, silencing the room. "Sophia showed me what we're destroying. Profit's not enough. We're done." He paused. "I'm launching the Vance Community Trust to fund small businesses, starting here. And Sophia, I want you to run its programs. Sophia's heart stopped. Me, she said, her voice a whisper. I'm not. You're the only one who is, Sophia, Adrian said. You've got the heart for it. In the vision, Sophia said, yes. Her decision avowed to her mother, to Maple Street, to herself. She started at the Vance Community Trust as a program coordinator, diving into a world of grants, community outreach, and strategy sessions. Her first weeks were a trial by fire. She fumbled presentations, struggled with corporate lingo, but her instincts, honed by years at the diner, carried her through. She spotted which businesses needed urgent help. Rose's bookstore needed a website. Jimmy's barber shop needed new chairs. The diner needed a new roof. Sophia's voice shaped the foundation's early grants, her perspective grounding Adrian's ambition. The scholarship came through, and Sophia enrolled in night classes at Northwestern's Kellogg School. Her nights became a marathon: work, study, hospital visits. But she thrived, her diner honed multitasking a superpower. The foundation's impact was immediate. The diner stayed open, its neon sign restored. Sarah's barber shop added a second chair, her twins thriving in a new community center. Rose's bookstore hosted poetry nights, drawing crowds. Sophia was still Sophia, still braiding Camila's hair, still slipping Carmen extra coffee, but now her reach was seismic, her purpose a beacon. As Sophia settled into her role, Adrian's layers unraveled. Late one night as they finalized a grant for a black-owned bakery, he paused, his voice low. I grew up in a place like Maple Street, he said. Mom was a line cook, Dad a janitor. I fought to get out, but I forgot what I left. You reminded me, Sophia. This foundation, it's my way of giving back. Sophia blinked, stunned. Adrian wasn't just a billionaire. He was a man wrestling with his past, his wealth a hollow echo of the kid he'd been. The foundation was his redemption, and Sophia was its spark. She saw his late nights, his sharp edges softening, his focus shifting from boardrooms to communities. He still had blind spots, snapping when plans stalled, underestimating local politics, but he trusted Sophia's judgment, amplifying her strength. One day, Sophia handed Adrian a bold proposal, a national expansion of the foundation, targeting struggling neighborhoods from Oakland to Appalachia. This could save thousands, she said, her voice steady. Adrian nodded, the weight of her vision settling over him. Then we'll do it, he said. But you're driving, Sophia. 18 months later, Sophia stood at the Maple Street Community Cantor's grand opening, its playground alive with kids' laughter. The diner was thriving, its counter gleaming. Sarah, now its co-owner, hosted book clubs. Jimmy's barber shop buzzed with apprentices. Camila, her cancer in remission, stood beside Sophia, her walker replaced by a cane, her smile radiant. The foundation had rebuilt Maple Street, and its model was spreading: Milwaukee, Memphis, Tucson, each success a testament to Sophia's whisper in that diner booth. At the foundation galas, Adrian took the stage, his voice raw. I built wealth, but it was empty, he said. Sophia Ramirez, a waitress with more courage than I'll ever have, showed me purpose. This foundation is her fight. Our fight. For people who deserve better. The crowd roared. But Sophia's heart was on Maple Street. She realized Adrian's change wasn't just professional, it was personal. He'd sold his firm's most predatory assets, redirecting his fortune to community investment. Sophia's plea had rewritten his legacy, and she was its steward, her voice a catalyst for a movement. The foundation's national push hit hurdles: bureaucratic red tape, skeptical locals, a rival developer circling Maple Street again. Sophia faced her biggest test, a congressional hearing in D.C. where she'd pitched the foundation's model as a blueprint for urban renewal. She stood before lawmakers, her suit borrowed but her resolve ironclad. I was a waitress, she said, her voice echoing. I saw my community bleeding. One choice, one voice, saved it. Imagine what millions of voices could do. Her testimony went viral, clips flooding X and TikTok, her story resonating with Americans tired of corporate greed. The hearing secured federal grants for the foundation, cementing its impact. Back in Chicago, Sophia faced the rival developer, a slick tycoon named Maxwell Lang. In a tense meeting, she outmaneuvered him, leveraging community support to block his condo project. Maple Street was hers. Ours. Sophia stood on a stage at the Vance Community Trust's second gala, Chicago's skyline glittering behind her. The hall was packed, small business owners, activists, families touched by the foundation's work. Camila sat in the front, her eyes bright with pride. Sarah and her twins waved from the crowd. Carmen whistled loudly. Jenkins held his folded napkin like a talisman. Mr. Costas, now a foundation advisor, nodded, his smile proud. Adrian approached, his handshake warm. "You changed the game," he said. "We did," Sophia said, her eyes fierce. The camera panned to Maple Street, its neon signs blazing: diner, bookstore, barber shop. Kids played under streetlights. Music spilled from open doors. Families gathered. Sophia walked the block, her silhouette framed by neon and hope. She wasn't just a waitress. She was a leader, a dreamer, a woman who turned a whisper into a roar. The final shot lingered, Sophia at the diner's counter, sipping coffee, Camila beside her, laughing. The diner was alive. Maple Street was whole. And Sophia's fight was just beginning. Across America, communities waited for her spark. And Sophia, with a fire in her heart, was ready. Resonating with Americans tired of corporate greed. The hearing secured federal grants for the foundation, cementing its impact.